of a stab at it. Can't blame him for that. I like the bet size. He's not getting himself into any trouble. He's, you know, sometimes people can bet too much to ask a question that you can get an answer for an awful lot cheaper. You know, and the fact that he's only bet 65,000, I mean, you know, it can look like he's trying to sucker Pantling into the pot, so it's just as effective as betting like 130,000. Yep. The difference is this time Pantling has a king, so the Bulgarian has managed to bluff the pot, but he's going to lose the minimum number of chips. I like this play.
There's a king and a jack. Unfortunately for Georgiev.
Pantling would be hoping that Georgiev had something here. He's gone for the raise option. As with a lot of decisions in poker, I mean, there isn't a 100% right answer, 100% wrong way to play it.
About 1.5 times Atanas's original raise. And you can see
this is top class poker.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the Bulgarian is having a bit of a think about it. And there was a chance that, I mean, like everybody's going to expect Pantling to be trying to push them around. So he may get somebody to fall into the trap.
In fairness, though,
he does have a big hand.
He has really had the cards each time as well. He's been rather lucky. You can see here, we have lost 2 from our final table, but we still have 6 of the finest, 3 of them on over $1 million. But your leader there, Andrew Pantling, 2.646 million chips, steamrolling. Final table.
You know, Pantling isn't in the strongest position as like Neil Channing was in this tournament last year, but he certainly got himself a healthy lead.
Karen Scott makes a call.
I like the way Kasov has composed himself. He dribbled away a few chips earlier, but took a few deep breaths, and he now seems to be back in control.
Very true. He looks rather composed.
What would you give to be out in the middle of that? I mean, it's such a buzz, I promise you.
And we're seeing 4 to the flop. Rather rare for final table. King Jack 9.
Check or bet? Check.
Where in fact, of all 4 players, no one had hit it.
Check or bet? Check or bet?
Pantling's got the best hand off the A6. This is.
It's incredible, isn't it?
No, but the reason this is happening is that, as I was saying, that there are so many chips in play that there is room.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a raise, re-raise, and that's it. Like, I mean, get the cards on their backs, and we're going to see some real poker.
And now William Kassouf has hit the river by nailing the flush, but I'm not sure how confident he feels with the 7.
Well, there's not much point in betting it, because if he does bet it, he's only going to get called if he's behind.
Yeah.
He may be check calling, but against 3 players, like the chances are, I don't know the maths of it off the top of my head, but there's a good chance there's a decent-sized club out there. Well, here's Brooke Pierce.
He's going to have a little pop at it.
Given the impression that he certainly has one.
And it's not a little pop, it's 100,000 chips pop into a 232 pot.
You know what? Kassov's problem here is that Brooke Pierce has bet this with 2 players between him and Kassov.
Yeah.
So it looks very much like he has something.
The size of the bet. It was less than half the pot.
If he does call this, I mean, people might say it's a bad call. But if he picks up a read and does make the call, it's going to be fantastic. Not much information there. Take it out of that.
Yep, there's 3 under clubs to the 7, and there's what? There's the Queen, the King, and the 10, and there's 3 over clubs.
Pierce is looking very...
4, including the 8.
He's looking very cool there, but I bet the little heart is pounding. It's a hell of a buzz. It's way more fun betting with no hand. Huh?
Oh, wow. Wow, he won't be happy when he sees this on television.
Gutsy from Brooke Pierce.
Well, 100,000 chips worth of courage for Brooke Pierce. Takes him down the pot of nearly $250,000. So, welcome back to the table. We've all been waiting for all weekend. Final table, our last 6 now, and there's a nice pie graphic of the variable dissemination of chips amongst our last 6. Andrew Pantling sitting on over 1/3 of them.
I like the other players. It's kind of like an opinion poll, isn't it?
It's not much like the Irish election opinion polls. It's generally just one big slice. But down to the action. Blinds 12 and 24,000 before anyone even sees their hand.
Call. 12,000 much call. Raise. 85,000.
A Phil Helmut fan. I think Phil would approve.
Lee's occupation is listed as on sabbatical.
Sounds like he's playing poker to me. I've been on sabbatical myself since the late 80s.
Look at this, ace, Queen 8. Fall on the flop.
90,000.
Andrew picks up the straight draw.
And bets it straight into the razor. Kind of a variation on the stop and go, I think.
And Lee folds it down, and Andrew takes another pot.
Well, this is the advantage of having the big chip lead. I mean, you can do whatever you like.
And he's doing it rather well, it has to be said.
Well, he's just trying to pound them to death. Which is, you know what a good player does with a chip lead is, you know, you don't have to stick all the chips into the pot or stick people all in. There just has to be the threat.
Yeah.
You know, the chips don't have to be in the pot. They can be just sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And they have much the same effect.
65,000.
And the way he's playing also
65,000.
makes everyone else aware of how likely he is to go over the top on anyone.
65,000.
Georgiev, our Bulgarian, raises to 65,000 with a king-queen offsuit, and now Andrew Pantling calls with the rag ace, and Kara Scott also in the pot with a rather more attractive ace, kicked up by a queen.
It's the second time we've seen Cara play the ace, or just limp with the king-queen. Or sorry, not play the king-queen very aggressively, I beg your pardon.
Yeah. Worked for her last time.
She could have tried a squeeze play there, but perhaps she thinks that the fact that the raise came in from such an early position that the Bulgarian could have the ace-queen beaten out of sight.
And so,
Nice.
I thought Johansson would have got pot value there, but we're four-handed.
This is great stuff.
To
I
the
mean,
flop.
you rarely see this
Yeah.
in a big tournament. That's because, I mean, there's so much play. And this is real poker.
7, 8, 10. Look at
Castle
that for
has to
Kassouf.
straight.
He can't believe his eyes.
He's
sitting up-
keeping it well disguised, isn't he? I think there's 300,000 in there. I mean, that's a huge pot for Kassouf.
Did I just
He
flop?
may not mess about here. You know, somebody with a 9 can hit a higher straight, or there's a flush draw out there. He certainly he might be well advised to give it the holly. And, he's playing around with his 25,000 chips.
Does he want a caller?
It depends on what they have.
But when he's making this thought now, is he thinking, do I make a big enough bet to just take this pot down, or do I want to lure one other player with me to the turn? Well, I suppose that answers that question.
Yeah. But he may have played it a bit slower if there weren't 4 people in the pot. But he's certainly making anybody that's got a flush draw or a pair in the straight draw think long and hard before they call him.
So
It's nice.
he gets a nice pot,
I like it.
but maybe could have been a little bigger had he let it go round to Andrew, and
4,000.
make a move. But nonetheless, a pot is a pot.